I'm going to explain all that. Hang on. Well, howdy there, y'all. Yamasaki here. Welcome back to the channel. And today is part 7 of the 1980 Toyota 4x4 pickup preservation. So let me show you what's been happening. Holy smokes, guys. Would you look at this freaking thing? It is looking like a damn truck finally. As you can see, we got a lot of the body parts back on it. The doors, the fenders, front bumper. The grill needs some clips. I'll start with the body stuff. The grill, which is in the back of the truck, and I will show you that, clips in to the front on the body. So you got these little squares, and that's where those clips would go. You got one here, down here, one on this cross brace right here, this little brace. Got one up here, and then you also have one right here, but this one you actually put a screw in just to keep it in place. Give it a little bit of extra security so it doesn't fall off. Then you got one down here below your power steering cooling pipe, and you got one over here. And you just press it in there, you put that one screw in, and you're gonna have a grill then. We got the bumper on. This also has the original paint on it. And what we had to do was when I got the fenders on, because you see the fenders and this lower bumper trim all connect right here, as well as a little brace that goes out from the cab. You can kind of see it under there just a little bit. But all of it bolts right there. And what happened was, when I was trying to put the actual bumper brackets on, which are these parts right here, this was blocking the actual mounts for those brackets. So what I had to do was create some spacers. You can see in there, there's a spacer, there's a spacer back there where that nut is. And then I just made a plate, and they're all 2 inches higher because this has a 2-inch body lift on it, and it bolted up just fine. It still needs to be tightened down, but it's on there. And then this little cross member right here, this piece, also supports that lower bumper trim down there too. And my original one was actually cut right below where those 2 bolts are. So I had to go and rob this one, and I just painted it black, and I got it bolted up, and now it's ready to go. All the fenders, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bolts up top. You got 2 more right behind the door here. And then you also have 2 down here. And then one thing that I didn't realize when I was putting these on is that behind this headlight shroud, there's a little tab that sticks off the fender here, and you bolt it straight in onto the cab too. So just remember that, guys. Just remember that. If you can't get your fender quite lined up, it's because of that little tab under there. All the fenders and this door are original paint. It matches. It's all original 42-year-old paint. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but in the right light, you can clearly see a difference in color between the fender and the door and the bed and the rest of the cab. And that's because what me and my dad did was we actually stole this door off because of these 2 mounts right here. On the actual base model trucks, they only had just a simple plastic mirror. And that's what this outline is, from just that simple plastic mirror. But what I have, I'll actually have to go over there and get it, but there's the back bumper, we actually had to take that off, and we got to get it straightened because it's a little bit twisted. And there's that grill that I was talking about earlier. But we are actually going to put the best mirrors that they ever made for these pickups, and I'll actually go get that. It's on the other side, right here. This is the best mirror that they ever made for these pickups. Solid metal, solid aluminum. And this one doesn't go on this side, but you can kind of see how it'll line up here. These holes are exactly where they need to be for the top. All we're going to have to do then is drill on the bottom, put some inserts in there, and I'll have a good set of mirrors. So that's why we robbed this door off of the 1982 Trekker. This is the door off the 1982 Trekker SR5. Doesn't have any interior pieces on it. We still have to put a matching lock in because the keys for my ignition, the lock on that door, and the lock on this door that we will be installing will all be the same key, which is good. As you can see on the SR5, they had an upper level armrest as compared to just the base model. Just that little handle there. But all the stuff that's on my original driver's side door, we're robbing off, and we're going to install it on this door, and everything will match. I will have to cut and trim a custom piece of carpet or something for right here because it's got all this nasty residue on it from whatever was on there previously. But that's pretty much it for the body and the body pieces themselves. I got some floor mats for the thing. I had to do a little bit of cutting because the throttle pedal also mounts down here, so I had to cut out a little notch there. Fits perfectly on the other side too. I also got rear ones with them as well, so they're both behind there. Figured I'd snazz it up a little bit and put a nice little replica or imitation wood steering wheel cover. I think it matches good with the tan and everything. I think it's gonna look fabulous. And you see, there's another problem with this door. They're the only problem. Is, as you can see, it does not want to shut. Now there's nothing binding on the door itself. It's just very stiff. And it's probably just because of this seal somehow, the weather stripping itself. I mean, if you give it a nice little nudge, it shuts just fine. Just fine. It's a little stiff to open. You can kind of hear that little snap because there's a lot of tension on this little grabber right there, but it's a good solid door. It's in good shape. It really is. Moving on to the front, we run into another issue throughout this amazing journey. Both of our radiators that we have are screwed. This one leaks like a sieve right about this area where you can see where all those bad fins are. Now this is a different radiator that we had that I tested. The other one is actually back here, and this one just has a pinhole leak in it. So we're going to actually try and see if we can repair this one. And if not, then worst comes to worst, we're going to have to buy a new one. And those suckers are not cheap. But aside from that, got all the power steering hoses on. Now the way this works is you have your reservoir, and it goes down into here, into this main hose. See, here's your high pressure hose from your pump down to your actual box. And then that then goes through the actual cooling tube, back through, up in here, and then back through up in this main line. So it's not very complicated. You got a few hoses and just got to figure out where it goes. But other than that, once you do that, you got yourself some power steering right there. Got all the fuel lines hooked up. Also got the canister over here. This also needs to be part of the fuel system. As you can see right there, one of the lines actually goes to this canister, which I'm not really sure what it does. My dad kind of explained it to me, but I'm still a little iffy on what that is. We actually bled the brakes. I can't speak. Bled the brakes. All the brakes work. We got them all bled. Got the calipers on. Had to install the calipers and everything, but brakes are done too. So we're getting down to the bitter end of this project, guys. It's really coming along. I still have to find a couple inserts right here for these reflectors. I've got them here on the other side. For an example here, there's the reflector connector. That's kind of funny to say. We actually had, now I didn't know about this, but this 22R specifically has a couple other features on the block. Now, for example, like on the base model truck. On this base model truck, it wouldn't have had any of that stuff. But I'll see if I can show you. Down there, right next to the oil filter, there's a couple of set screws that go into the block. And what goes on there is we had to go ahead and buy this harness right here, this part. And it connects to these two connectors right here, this white one and this green one. And it's actually pretty important that you need this harness. This is the SR5 harness. You've got a temperature sensor right here that connects right in this little guy on the manifold. This one we're not sure what it went to. It's probably part of emission control crap. That all that stuff has been deleted. It goes down. The most important part about this wiring harness, or this piece, they call this a sub-wiring harness. It's just a small part of the harness. Actually goes down to your starter, way down there. Without that, without this wiring harness, guys, it's not going to start. So we had to order one because we couldn't find it. And it's also got those features that I was talking about. One of them is the oil pressure sensor. The other one, we believe, is like a dummy light for oil or something like that, like temperature-wise. But we're not entirely sure. We're going to get there when we get there, but it's coming along great. We got a new positive cable to the starter as well. What else do we got to do? We still have to put all the fluids in it. It's got no oil. It's got a tiny bit of antifreeze in it from me putting in the radiator and testing them. So when I go ahead and take this one out, it's going to leak like a sieve down in that lower hose right there. Just because all that stuff is at the bottom of the pump down there. What else was I going to say? Yeah, there's not much else, guys. There really is not much else to do. It's coming along great. We actually also got an antenna here. Got it looped through, down through, right over here. You can see it right there. I just have it dangling right here. We are going to have to make some shifter boots. Probably going to think about doing leather. Still have to put a bracket right here for these gauge clusters that also go there. Still need a speedometer cable. Connected all the actual wires that go to the transmission. And I'll actually show you that. It's in here. It's two little wires from the harness. They go down and they connect to the transmission. And that tells you on your dash that you're in 4-wheel drive or 4-low or whatever the case might be. I just connected the back lights too. Had to get those connected. So there's just little bits and pieces that still need to happen on this thing. Like the fluids, like I was saying about the fluids. A little bit of radiator fluid in here. Still need to do the oil, still need to do the differentials. And we still also need to do the transmission. We're going to change out transmission oil in that thing too. I need to get the dipstick and the dipstick tube. I do not have that installed on this engine yet, and that's a very important piece. So I need that. But other than that, guys, it's coming along. Got mud flaps for it. I'm going to have to find those. But it is coming along, guys. It's getting there. Down to the bitter end. It's a darn good looking truck. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, so don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment for more content. And Yamasaki out. See y'all later.